Great. Hi guys. Here is a comment, an input about the code of the law. So this is to the code of the law, and so to the code of the law, having a one magistrate is not actually good enough a case. We actually have to have, let's say, one magistrate there. So we have one magistrate there, and then we have 10 plus there of lawyers mixed with magistrates, as will be also having the audience, as we're having the audience here. Those guys that will be checking those two victims. There's that one that is attacked, and there's that one that is actually blamed, right? So now those guys, they do not actually have to have lawyers. Actually, they actually have to go there by themselves. When they go there by themselves, more like an interrogation thing. But now when we interrogate you, we do not interrogate you there at the interrogation room there by the police station. We do those things there at the court of the law when we interrogate you, whereby we'll be having a prosecutor with all those kinds of things there that will be tutoring you. Not torturing you, but tutoring you, like teaching you, like kind of guiding you, those kinds of that tutor. And so now when we have those kinds of things there, we are able to actually see if you were wrong about those things there or not. Because of the thing about those things that there is that we can actually see you verbally and visually. We can hear you verbally and see you visually. So those ones that are the two fighting techniques: visual fighting and verbal fighting. So visual fighting, I actually mentioned them on the book of Aobakwe there. So visual fighting is this thing that we can just look at your face. When you look at your face, there are also the identifications there that I was actually described there about those kinds of things. But it's not so much about 1, 2, and 3 holes. And so those ones there, the facial identifications. And so now those kinds of stuff is that we can actually see you when you are lying as the community. And so when we can see you visually, because of when we can see you visually, it is this thing that we can actually see you visually because of we can see you, like we are as persons, you don't have to go ups and downs as others will say, hey man, I can see in your eyes, stop lying to me. And so there will be those ones that are templars there, magistrate mixed with lawyers there, as the audience will also be here listening to both of those victims, because we call both of them the victims, because and they are not yet proven guilty. And so the thing about that thing is that through visual fighting and verbal fighting, we'll be hearing them as they'll be verbally talking and visually changing the expressions. And so when we will all be doing those things, we'll all be aware of those moments. There'll also be a video recording so that we can capture every single moment of those times as they'll be there at the stand there. And so now when they are there, it is this thing that we are able to see their physical fighting that was happening in those places whereby we were not actually there. And so now the thing about lawyers is that they actually favor those ones that always do wrong, because they are their greatest supporters, they are their greatest clients, and since they are their greatest clients, they actually fund them more. That is why those other ones will be like, let us get you a greater lawyer, because lawyers normally they just lie. So it also mostly goes with experience along with the papers. So now those kinds of things, they also help us to avoid those unnecessary advantages and disadvantages, because of lawyers, even after the scene, they can go and frame you and do all those kinds of stuff, because of they are too experienced and they know those things too much. Not that they will be telling the truth, but because of they'll be playing around those things there too. That is why we'll be having 10 plus of them mixed with the magistrates. That's why they can use those stunts and tricks per case as they'll be there. And those two guys there, which are victims, currently they do not have to have lawyers at all completely. That thing there, may it be cancelled, or may it be please be cancelled, because it is not good enough. Because of those guys there, the lawyers, they were not there, they were told by those two victims. And so since those two victims told those lawyers, they can still tell us there, because we all know that when you tell a lawyer, you just tell a lawyer everything. It is that thing that we use our common sense and our instinct, our guys, that hey man, look, it's fine. Yeah, we've been seeing lawyers and all those things around there, because even the magistrate, they are bribed, even their decision there. So there'll be magistrates there that will be there. It's the same as to the state court, the highest court, whereby there'll be many magistrates. So there we are making it in that platform. We are bringing it into that smaller platform so that those things can always be accommodated. Lawyers are so many, the state has so many cases. I'm actually also voting as King Law, King Sylvester Aobakwe. So also those things there, they'll be fundable, because it is my new kingdom. Otherwise, that one is the story that is also on the other side there. But those things by themselves, they can also always be affordable. And so those kinds of stuffs there, we are actually able to see what is actually going on to those two guys, because it is them who were there at the scene. And if they were lied to, we can also see like, hey man, you can see you are taking advantage because this one is vulnerable when they come to talk. We'll just see, you get me. Otherwise, that is the thing about that thing of lawyers and magistrate, as you can play around it like that. That is why the other ones we know that they'll be telling their lawyers, and their lawyers will be able to make up their own stories. And so that is how we can avoid that thing and also capture them nicely there. Cheers.